Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is our sixth series in the series, sixth episode in our series. And for those of you that haven't joined us yet, each episode, Jacqueline and I are interviewing different makeup artists in the industry. I myself have been in the industry for over 22 years in the cosmetology industry, and this is something that we really wanted to start doing because we get a lot of questions about this subject. So thank you for joining us, and I'm going to hand it over to Jacqueline McConey.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Jacqueline McConey, and I'm in New Jersey, just right outside of New York City. And I'm a professional makeup artist since 2009. I do a lot of work in television, a lot of commercials, and bridal work as well. And we are very excited to have Maleeva here today. Thank you so much, Maleeva, for being here. And just a little bit about Maleeva. She's actually from the Kutztown, Pennsylvania area, which is Amish country. And she's been working as a makeup artist in the television and film arena for over 8 years, which is very impressive. And if you had told her back in high school when she was more of a tomboy that she was going to be a makeup artist when she grew up, she would have laughed in your face, basically, right, Maleeva? So, she's even though she didn't expect that as a career path, she wouldn't change it for the world. And while her passion lies with being on set, she also excels in bridal, boudoir shoots, lifestyle shoots, and also lifestyle clientele, helping people with their everyday regimen, skincare and makeup. And she also does fitness competition makeup. So she runs the whole gamut there. And, Maleeva believes that every woman should have access to quality cosmetics and a routine that suits their specific lifestyle. So, Maleeva, thank you so much again for joining us. We can't wait to ask you some juicy questions and learn more about you.
I know, this is great. I feel like I'm being invited into my girlfriend's living rooms, right?
Yeah, yes. Well, on that note, let's start this beautiful evening off with a cheers.
Yes.
Okay.
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
And to all of you at home having a glass with us, cheers to you as well. So, Maleeva, I'm going to go ahead and ask you the first question, and then, Leigh will pop in after that. But what I want to know from you is, how did you get your start in the makeup artist, or as a makeup artist, I should say? So where did you start, and how did you get to where you are right now?
Sure. So it's actually pretty a wild story. I went to film school in New York, Hofstra University, and my mom, I originally wanted to be a marine biologist, and then I wanted to be a computer programmer, and then I wanted to... What was this?
Uh-oh. I don't know where I went. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. But you can't see me anymore?
I see a frozen screen of your face.
That is so weird. Okay, give me 1 sec. I'm not sure what's happening. So sorry, but you keep going, Maleeva. You keep going. Oh,
okay.
There you are. What is happening? So sorry.
Computer glitch.
You keep going. Yeah, you keep going. My computer might be overheating right now, so let me put the fan on while you talk. So I'm sorry.
So the point, I wanted to do all of these different things, and then I watched this film called Lord of the Rings, and I watched the behind-the-scenes footage. Yes. And I came, you know what? I could do that for the rest of my life, and I would be so happy. So I told my mom, do you know what? Screw everything else. I am going to film school, and she said, that's wonderful. I'm going to teach you how to waitress, because you're going to need to know how to do that.
I love it.
So, yeah, I started working in the family business at 12. I started waitressing at 16, and then went to film school in New York. Loved it. Great 4 years. Met incredible people. But it was probably my junior year when, and this was a very, technical slash, it was very big on screenwriting, directing, producing. There wasn't so much as far as like the art department goes when it comes to like makeup and creativity, that side of the film. So I had a gentleman come up to me, and you know, our homework in was making movies, right? So he came up to me and he's like, hey, look, I really need help. I need someone to make someone look like they got beat up in my film. Can you help me? And I looked at him like, why are you even talking to me about this? I know nothing, like absolutely nothing about makeup. I didn't even start wearing it until I did musical theater in high school, and that was it. So I was not a makeup wearer. I knew nothing about it, but I was a theatrical lighting designer on Long Island during my time in school. So it's like such a crazy like lifetime ago, I swear. It was like 8 years ago, but it feels like a whole other person's life. So I was a theatrical lighting designer. And I knew the color theory, right? So I knew the concept of color. It was just a matter of working with the medium of makeup. So he begged me. I'm like, okay, I'll borrow a friend's, because we didn't even have makeup classes. There was one stage makeup class, and that was it. And I, of course, didn't take it. So I borrowed a friend's kit, and I looked at a bunch of pictures of a guy that, you know, got beat up and what that's supposed to look like. I recreated it on myself. Sent him a couple pictures. He loved it, so I did it for his film. So, of course, once the word started getting out that there was a girl that did makeup for film, all of a sudden everybody was like, Maleeva, do makeup for my film. And I was like, guys, I still don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm really just winging it. But that's how I got my start. So I started doing makeup for friends' films in college. From there, I found out I was kind of decent at it in special effects, mainly. So I did a self-study with a really dear film professor, offered to do a self-study with me, an independent course for credit. So I actually developed my own film on the old school cameras, did all of the lighting in conjunction, with doing different special effects looks. So I would practice making burn victims, and every single week I would just borrow a friend to be like, hey, can you sit in and I can make you look dead, and we'll take pictures of it. I mean, that was my start in makeup. Luckily, the production side of where I went to school was incredible. They had really great production studios. So other local films would rent out Hofstra's space and then ask, hey, do you have any students that could be a PA or a grip or an assistant makeup or something like that? And then they would just kind of hire volunteer basis these roles. And someone asked for a makeup artist, so then I would start getting hired out as kind of just a local student makeup artist, which was fun, but still I was like, I was just watching stuff online, you know, and I was buying books and just doing a ton of self-study on it, because I really, even coming to match skin tones, it was completely all new to me. So flash forward, I graduate, and I come home because New York is wicked expensive, so I come home to Pennsylvania, and what do I start doing? I start waitressing, because funny thing about school, you once you graduate, right? So I started waitressing at this horrible chain, which I will not mention, but everybody probably been at this chain restaurant at least sometime in their life, and I realized, like, I hated it, and I'm working so hard to pay off the student loans that I got for my education that I couldn't use because I was working so hard to pay off the loans. I was like stuck in this crazy catch-22. But luckily, I happened upon this site in the greater Philadelphia area called film.org. And there I saw it. They just hire out local crew. So a bunch of whatever films are going on in the area, they say, okay, I'm looking for cast or I'm looking for crew. There happened to be a music video that was looking for a makeup artist. And I was like, I kind of did that in college, so maybe I could do it for this. And I submitted this like totally preposterous resume, and I got hired. And everything I've done has been because of people that I met, you know, on that set, carried me to another set, and then those producers loved me, which carried me somewhere else. And through Facebook, I met a photographer. That's how I got. It was purely by accident and chance. And passion, you know, because I found out I loved it. I kept, you know, making sure that I got better every single time. But recently, I'm in the process of moving, and I was flipping back through all of some of my old work, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. When you look at like the first jobs you ever did, it's crazy. But yeah, that's how I got my start.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I really think sometimes things just have a way of working out. And when you're passionate about something, that definitely, that's great. I love that. So, is that mainly what you focus on all the time? Or tell me a little bit about some of the other things that you maybe focus on besides just, the film and television. Do you like see regular clients or do anything like that?
Sure. Well, do you know what? I didn't at first. I mean, I really just put a lot of volunteer, time, sweat, equity into production. And that's when I started learning how to do more beauty makeup. Because I went with the music video, I wasn't doing special effects. I was actually doing beauty makeup. And I just started getting better in that aspect. I shadowed another special effects makeup artist and kind of worked alongside her for a little while, just learning and seeing how she did stuff. So, I mean, I was a perpetual student for the longest time, just focused in production. It wasn't until I started working with more of a cosmetic line on that side that I started working one-on-one with a lot of women. But it so happens that one of my actresses was competing in a national fitness competition. So I met her on set. She loved the way I did her makeup. So I sat down one-on-one because she wanted to know what I used and how I applied it. So I kind of did a one-on-one tutorial with her. And that was how I got my start doing one-on-one consulting, just kind of showing her what I did for the film because she loved it. And a lot of times, a lot of actresses, depending on the set, sometimes they have to do their own makeup, or depending on the commercial, if it's not big budget, there isn't someone to do it for them. So the more skills you can equip an actress or a model with doing their own makeup with good products, the further along they'll go. So that was with her for the one-on-one consulting. Then she started doing a lot of photography work, so I started doing her makeup for that. And from there, it's just through Facebook, I would get a lot of recommendations, and that's how I've kind of hit all of these different industries with boudoir and lifestyle and competition makeup now. It's all been through referral. Just people saying, hey, look, I really like the way she did my makeup. Maybe you could do this. They liked it great, so they moved me to someone else, and I'm blessed. I really am, because it really is just the happy accident story that I kept plugging away on. And it wasn't all roses, I promise. It wasn't everything lined up perfectly, but yeah, that's how I started kind of branching out into all of these different industries within makeup.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I love that you just said, it wasn't all roses. It was difficult. It's a process.
There's a lot.
I think yeah.
You do.
Right, and I think we can all relate to that. Anyone who's on the call right now or joining us in the replay, if you're a makeup artist joining us, think about when you first started in the industry. Were you starting part-time because you had a full-time job and you were trying to make those things work? Were you at a restaurant, working on a restaurant or bartending and just figuring it out? We all kind of go through that process. So thank you for sharing that part of it also. Yeah. So, Leigh, did you have another question before?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, just more along the lines of your one-on-one clientele, your personal clientele, aside from production now. Since now, you already took us through the past, and now I want to focus on what you kind of incorporate now. You touched on it before in your answer. You said that you started working with a cosmetic line, and then that had helped you to take on more personal one-on-one clients. So I'm going to ask you about that. And then I also want to know, even before you tell us whatever makeup line you use, I want to know your thought process. As a professional makeup artist, what were you looking at? Why were you looking for it? And why did you inevitably choose, the company that you chose?
Sure. So when I first started, I literally had no kit. So it was really whatever I could get my hands on, a lot of times from the drugstore when I first started. First film I ever did was a lot of African American skin tones, and I was freaking out because the only thing I had obviously was me. So I walked into the drugstore, and you remember those old foundations that you could twist the top and it would like have different colors? I totally grabbed 3 or 4 of them because I was like, yay, now I have 15 different shades. But a lot of it was drugstore cosmetics. And it was fine for some things, it wasn't holding up for others. And I just found that over the course, and then, you know, graduating, I started to go to Sephora and other department store brands then, because I started to up my game a little bit in the cosmetics that I was using, because I just know that the quality is important, especially when you're doing so many different skin tones and skin types. I wanted to make sure whatever I was using was going to be okay for everybody. And it honestly just gets expensive. I mean, we could go through 17 different mascaras till we find the perfect one that does what we want it to do, but then maybe it's not good for sensitive eyes. So then we have to buy something else or find something else that kind of fits into whatever it is that we're looking for all of the different clients that we do. Especially in film and TV, you never know how many different clients walk, you know, depending on actors or models or whatever, walk on set, and you have to be able to accommodate everyone. So that really took me into my journey, thinking that maybe it would be smart to get an in with a cosmetic line that I could at least get some kind of pro discount on, right? But then I started thinking, trying to like word my thought process here. I totally blanked out. But I started thinking about like what my time was worth, you know, because as I sat down with a client and I would do makeup for them, they would absolutely love it. And then of course I would just kind of make a list of what I used, hand it to them, and kind of send them off into the world to buy those cosmetics. But those same companies weren't offering me a discount. And if I were to get one, I'd have to jump through hoops to prove that I was worthy of, you know, the discount for it. And I thought, if there was a line out there that I could be able to offer my clients and to provide more of a solution. Like if I could be the makeup artist that has the one-stop shop to meet their needs. Because one thing I noticed too is not only were they asking what cosmetics, but they were asking me about skincare concerns. They would talk to me about, you know, different concerns they had with their health, or, you know, you've experienced this. Someone sits in your chair and all of a sudden they have like all of the different cares in the world they unload on you, because we act kind of like a thing in cosmetology. And so I was looking for something to be able to offer them. And I thought it would be neat, how cool if I could provide them a solution to actually get paid for it, right? So I teamed up with a cosmetic line, Modus Cosmetics, and to me, that just seemed like smart business. I think, and I'll touch on this later because I feel like there's going to be a question that you asked me, and this is kind of the perfect answer for it. But it's just important to leverage your time, because I could stand and paint faces for the rest of my life, but to be honest with you, I'm only as good as my next gig, right? So unless and I did this constantly out there hustling, trying to find the next 3 jobs before you've even finished the first one. I mean, it'd be neat to have something on the side to kind of allow that income to let me breathe a little bit. And that's what Motives made sense to me. It had everything I was looking for. Hypoallergenic. It was non-comedogenic, because whatever I use on a customer, and Jacqueline, I'm sure you're the exact same way, we do makeup on an actress at like 6, 7 a.m. and it has to look good the entire duration of the shoot, no matter how long it goes. It could be 5 p.m., it could be midnight. I've even been on sets where it goes into 2 or 3 o'clock the next morning. Clearly they
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's like daily.
Yeah. So what we use is so important, and you know, the higher quality cosmetic I use, the less touch-ups I have to do, the more I get paid for, the less time I have to constantly put in to make sure they look good on camera, because I'm like a hawk when it comes to my actresses on camera. Every single take, I'm looking to make sure that, you know, there isn't eyeliner out of place, there isn't a fleck of mascara that fell, there isn't a crease somewhere. And with this brand, it just had what I needed. So that was kind of my thought process behind, you know, moving through working with a cosmetic line, why that made sense to me, but also working with a line specifically that met my needs as a professional working on so many different skin tones and skin types.
Awesome.
Wow,
awesome. Yeah.
And that's That is so true. That is so completely true. And there's so many different things out there that, you know, it gets really confusing, I think, for artists. Like, what should I use? And so many brands, they just want you to send everybody their way. So how is Motive Cosmetics different in that sense, in, like, the business side of things?
Yeah, so what I love first and foremost as a professional was that it was an entirely brokered line of cosmetics. For me, I'm not a super trendy person. I'm kind of throwing myself under the bus, but as far as what the latest trend on the runway is, I don't care. I just want it to be good, and if my clients want it, I want to be able to offer it to them. You know, so instead of taking up all of my time doing all of this research, which I just really didn't care to do, I wanted to focus on my art. And that's one thing Motives allowed me to do. So as a brokered line, they've already figured out who makes the best of the best. They go to each of those manufacturers and sign exclusive contracts for their own exclusive formulations and rebrand it all under Motives. So it's a skincare line. I trust the brands. I've been working with them for years now. And even still, anytime a new product comes out, I try it first before I ever recommend it to any of my customers. And like 99.8% of the time, I'm completely satisfied with what they offer me. So for me, it just made smart business sense. Like, if I had a line, I didn't have to spend all this money trying to figure out what was the best. I didn't have to put all this time into research, figuring out who not only made the best, but what colors were on trend, what's coming out for the season, what's hot, being on top of future trends. I have a line that's already done it. And it's backed by science and incredible makeup teams that just take all of the guesswork out so I can focus on my business as a freelancer, but also my art. And also, you know, 100% staking my reputation on a brand that I trust. And if I can offer that to my customers because I'm so satisfied with it, then I trust that they're going to love it too. And I just, that makes my life as a freelancer just so much easier and so much more enjoyable, honestly.
Mm-hmm. That is so important. That is, first of all, great answer, by the way. And I just think it's so important that you mentioned, you know, we're staking as artists, as reputable artists, hopefully, right? We're putting our names on the line when we recommend any product to anybody. So whether that was years ago when I first started out and I had, you know, Dior and La Mer and Clé de Peau and Makeup Forever MAC, like whatever, all in my kit, RCMA, you know, whatever it is, in my kit, I was only putting those products on my clients because I know that they were good products. And fast forward now, like you're saying, Motive is a product brokerage company, so that means that they don't personally manufacture anything and create things. They go out and find the best of the best, reformulate under exclusive contracts, put the name of Motives on those products, and then those are the products that we then can offer our clients and use on ourselves personally and in our kit. So I think that's so important that you mentioned, you know, we're putting our names on the line. And, you know, we have clients that trust us. We have other makeup artists and other professionals that trust us. And that is, you know, I mean, there are other, I trust both of your opinions. So, you know, it's important.
I mean, your reputation in the community even though I'm in Kutztown, I work mainly in Philly. And your reputation is everything because the world news travels fast. If there's someone that people do not want to work with, that word will get around.
Oh, yeah.
Gotten a lot of jobs because the prior makeup artist had, you know, not worked out or been fired or for whatever reason. So for me, I took a lot of time looking and into different cosmetic lines when I first thought about getting in with one, because I was too terrified, to be honest with you, to mess with that, because the relationships for me are everything, and if I break that trust with a customer for any reason, I mean, forget about it. It's not just my reputation, but it's also just, you know, me as a human being creating with relationships with these people I care about. I don't care if they've been a client one time or a client 50. So yeah, absolutely. About the reputation, 100%. But also, consumers are becoming really smart about ingredients and about products. Yeah. Now, gluten-free is really hot, and quality cosmetics that don't harm the skin is hot, and ingredients that are going into products, people are researching and becoming smarter consumers about what they're buying. So that's another check mark to the good for Motives, is that they were already ahead of all of that before even consumers caught up. So for me, I didn't have like, oh my gosh, now that all of a sudden this makeup line has these ingredients and I can't use this anymore because my customers don't want it, then I have to quick scrabble and ditch that in my kit and move on to something else. I never had to worry about that. And to me, going on 7 years, words can't describe, and money can't describe the time and the value that gives to a freelancer. Absolutely.
Oh my God, yeah, of course. I mean, because time is money, right? I mean, if you're not working, I mean, that time is literally money, right? You're trading time for money when you're working. But you know, you want to be able to have a little bit of free time as a freelancer, and sometimes that can be really hard, especially since you always want to take whatever next gig is coming your way, since you're only as good as your next gig. So the fact that you don't have to, what's that?
So that's 10 years to get a boyfriend. Time.
That's so funny. But yeah, it's great for us because now we don't have to, sit down on our day off and start managing this whole research process that we would have to go through. What are my colleagues using and why are they using it? What are the ingredients in that? Are they selling those products? Are they retailing it to their customers, to their clients? And if they are, what is the feedback there? What's the retention rate? Are they returning to buy more of it when they're out, or are they moving on to the next thing? All of these things, if you're a freelance makeup artist, that's stuff that you really should be thinking of if you're not thinking about it yet. So, it's great to have it already done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Leigh, did you have, actually, it's almost 9:30, so I'm going to I'm going to send out a poll right now to poll our audience.
Okay.
And as the audience is being polled, we're going to continue, and Leigh, if you have the next question ready to go, that would be awesome. So I'm going to launch the poll now. It'll be open for just a few moments. Okay, Leigh.
I guess my next question is, this is kind of an open-ended question, but our whole series is called, Being Business Savvy Makeup Artist. So what does being business savvy mean to you and your business? What advice do you have for some of those tuning in that are makeup artists all across, the industry?
Wow, that isn't a question. The last webinar you did, I watched with Deborah. I believe Deborah was her name. We talked about being open-minded, and I loved that. Loved that, because you never know when an opportunity is going to come your way. Don't ever think you're above something if you're just starting out, because experience trumps any education that you can get. I firmly believe that, because I come from that. Mm-hmm. I mean, years of experience versus years of schooling. I mean, you got to get hands-on. It's an art. It's a craft you have to develop. But for me to add on to open-minded, you got to have vision. It's key. I mean, for me growing up, look, like I'm from Kutztown, Pennsylvania. Jackie totally had it right. Amish country. I grew up broke, like broker than broke. I was raised on and off by a single mom. There were a lot of hardships, and there's so many people out there that experience that growing up, that I think that you have to look to your passion, but also figure out what you're passionate about, and then how to turn that into a career in a way that gives people what they need, that provides a solution. And for me, the vision came, even though I didn't know makeup was a path that I was going to choose, I knew that what my parents were doing, we had owned a restaurant growing up, and unfortunately in the first economic downturn, we lost everything. We lost our home, we lost our car. It was horrible. I was in high school. But I knew what I didn't want out of life. I didn't know what I was going to do to change that, but I was open to any solution or any opportunity that came in my path. And that vision and that long-term goal that I set out for myself, I never wavered, and I held on to that, and I never quit. It was never a thought. I mean, of course it was a thought. We all get to the point where we're frustrated and crying, and it's not going the way we want. We get that job, and we didn't get this job. But I mean, the option to let go of that passion and that dream and that vision I had for myself was never an option. It just wasn't. So if one thing's not working, you look for something else. I kept my options open all of the time, completely open-minded to any opportunity that came my way, and then thought, how could I use this to further my career, to further my passion, and to ultimately get to my end goal, my dream, which for me was producing film full-time. I wanted to own my own production company and never worry about where the money was coming from. So luckily, you know, when I signed a contract in a business with Motives Cosmetics to do something part-time alongside what I was currently doing, fit into my career. My customers loved it. They asked for more. It provided me this income that allowed me to pursue my passion full-time. I couldn't have asked for a better choice. And I mean, it is work, but it is worth it. So have vision, know what you want, and have a plan to get there, especially as a freelancer, and build relationships. Because you will not go anywhere if you are not a good person to work with, and you don't have a great attitude. So it's totally key to have vision, have a great attitude, and build honest relationships with people, because that will get you so far in this industry.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, and
that was a great answer.
True, because I think, you know, in the industry too, we are trading time for money. So often that, you know, when we take off, we have to always try to make up when we get back. And I mean, you almost need to look at different streams of revenue, because there might be a time where you get injured. I know we've had other makeup artists on the platform that, you know, they've gotten injured and they weren't able to work for a little while, and they had that income coming in too. So, you know, that's also extremely important as well. So I really like your answer, because, you know, you do have other dreams that you want to fulfill, and sometimes you need the extra revenue to do it. I mean,
absolutely, and that you can grow with, that's more than just your own time, because there comes a point where you have to be able to leverage each phase that you do if you ever want to get further than the amount of time that you yourself are able to put in. So I absolutely recommend looking at anything that has a business opportunity behind it, as long as it makes sense in your world, because it did for me. And I honestly couldn't imagine my career any other way. I have no idea where I would be if I hadn't positioned myself to be open-minded to an opportunity. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's all. You're just giving us so much information, and I love all of your answers so far. Thank you so much. You're making everything, I think, very, very straightforward and relatable. And you know, I can see through your explanations, I can see part of my journey as to how I got here as well. And I think that's really great. And I just want to remind our viewers that are tuning in live that if you do have any questions for any of us, any of the three of us, please continue to add them into the questions section. And towards the end of the webinar, we will be taking them on. Okay, so if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in now. So, all right, so then that was what business savvy means to you. I'm going to ask you another question that's a little bit more specific to a service that I believe that you offer, and that is one of my favorite things of all time: custom blending foundation.
Yes.
So I want you to talk about it. I want you to talk about it. I want you to talk about why it is beneficial for your business. I would love for you to talk about the profit margin, if you'd be so kind, and go for it. Just go for it.
So it's very rare that a makeup artist can use one pre-packaged foundation for any specific skin tone. A lot of pre-packaged foundations are either too yellow or too pink, or, I mean, there are so many different pigments going on in our skin that it's almost impossible to match pre-packaged, which is why, luckily enough, as makeup artists, we have like 10 different foundations that we can mix or match at any given time. But the average woman doesn't have that. Or if they do, they have to spend exorbitant amounts of money at retail in order to be able to mix and match their perfect pigment. So when Custom Blend was introduced to me, I honestly didn't catch on to it right away. It took me a while taking a look at it, thinking about how that could fit into my world, because I was focused more on the art at that time and developing my skills versus the business side of what we had to offer. But then the more I started playing with it, it was like, this just makes sense. And the first time I finally decided to delve in, I wanted to offer it to my customers because I knew there was a need. And once again, you know, if you are a makeup artist that can provide a solution for what people are looking for, you will work forever in a good way, because that need will constantly need to be met. So the first time I got my Custom Blend kit, I actually did every single skin tone that you can imagine, just back to back with something new every single time. So it challenged me, but it was wonderful because it provides any makeup artist that extra bit of exclusivity. Because anyone can get a lipstick from anywhere, but nobody can get their own personalized, name stamped on it foundation meant specifically for them. And it's not just their skin tone, it's their skin type, and it's their skin preferences. There's so many different additives. I seriously feel like a mad scientist every time I sit down mixing someone's...
I always say that. I always say that.
I want a white lab coat that like has my name on it so I can put on every time I start mixing. And it takes me to my house.
I love it.
And your customer feels so special because they sit in your chair and you're asking them all kinds of questions about what they're looking for in a foundation, and then you're picking all of these different bottles that look so foreign to them, but we, you know, are trained when you start using Custom Blend, we get trained in how to mix and how to properly color match things. And we're pulling all of these bottles out and all of these different additives. Yes, exactly. I love that she sit there. And Julie, that's wonderful. My studio is brand new, so it's not quite completely set up yet. But Custom Blend will be in this general vicinity right here.
Nice. Very nice.
Your clients feel so important because you are tailoring something and you are taking that time. It's a service, almost like a color service in a salon, that you're sitting there and correcting and matching exactly what they need in a foundation. Not just the coverage, not just the color, but also all of their preferences to it. I mean, I can make tinted moisturizers, I can make concealers, I can make stage foundations, I can tweak the foundation as someone starts to change colors during the year, if they get tanner in the summer or later in the winter. I can match all of that, and it just adds this extra revenue into my freelance career that's like 200 to 300% profit out of every one that I sell. And everybody that sits in my chair is going to need a foundation of some sort, whether it's a powder or liquid. Why not have them get it from me and have it be specifically exactly what I know they want, and know that they have to pay one price versus having to pay 3 different prices at retail to kind of color match something together. So it takes the work out for the customer. It is like completely 100% customizable. I can't say that enough. The profit is ridiculous. But walk from your chair 100% satisfied. And I tell that to every single customer. I'm like, I want you to 100% love it, because if you don't, we can tweak it. And you can't say that about anything prepackaged. I mean, it's fabulous. Especially if you have any customers that deal with any kind of skin issues. Like for a woman recently, one of my favorite clients that I've developed a relationship with, she designs handbags, and she's gone through 2 bouts of breast cancer, and she's just has so many different skin issues and different, discolorations due to all of the chemo and all of the treatments. And the look on her face when I was able to even out her skin tone with one product that she could replicate at home, I mean, words can't describe. That's a reason a lot of us start our freelance careers, and some of us never actually get to experience that amount of joy. And Custom Blend can do that for someone. And I'm not just kind of being too kumbaya or anything, but if you can help a woman with her skin, I am telling you, she will love you forever, and you will have a client for life. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And not to mention, you touched on some people will buy 2 foundations, or they'll keep going back to a store and buying a different foundation because, something was not perfect with the last one that they bought, or they bought the wrong color, and now maybe they can't return it, or they feel bad returning it, or maybe they just don't know where it is, or they end up having a drawer filled with products, basically, that they're not using. Yeah, and it's not cheap, and it's definitely not cheap, and it's interesting because one bottle of completely customized foundation for somebody is the same price, if not sometimes less expensive, as the high-end foundations that someone might get at a Sephora or at a Bloomingdale's or at a Neiman Marcus or Saks Fifth Avenue or wherever. So it's just so funny that people will buy 2, and I actually used to have clients that would buy 3 foundations because they really could. If the shade was the shade was okay, but the tone of the shade, the undertone was not right. So then they had to buy another one with the right tone, but then that made the shade too dark. So then for some reason they thought, or the person that was selling this to them told them that, oh, it will work out if you just buy this that's to neutralize it, or whatever, mumbo jumbo they were told. So they ended up buying 3 foundations all the time, which is outrageous to me. And that is
like the coverage. So
yeah,
the color can be great, but then the coverage isn't there, so they use more of it, and they're spending more money. It's
exactly.
And I just get like fired up about what's going on with consumers, the troubles they're having, and especially department stores. Like over 50% of women in the United States over the next 3 years will be mixed race, and we need a solution for them. Absolutely. Because no woman should feel like they're not provided for by a makeup company. I mean, that's just how I feel. But and Custom Blend that we can offer them, and any freelancer, I promise you, because I did not get trained, professionally. I'm self-taught when it comes to makeup, and I'm telling you, once you get the hang of it, it's so systemized. It's so easy to do. If one thing I could absolutely recommend is for anyone to look into Custom Blend. Seriously. Because I didn't for the long time, and I'm like, why didn't I use this so much earlier? It's been so
right. It's great that you said that too, because anybody can be trained. It really, if you're a makeup artist, you already know at least a little bit, hopefully, about color theory. So it's really only color theory, and it's a matter of just, learning the product and getting trained. It takes a few hours, not a big deal. And then practice, of course, makes perfect. But what's great about Custom Blend is, and I know that we're really talking to beauty professionals in this webinar, but just in case there is anybody that is not a beauty professional that's just happening upon this webinar, you actually don't have to be a professional makeup artist or a professional in the beauty industry to get trained in Custom Blend. If you like makeup, or even if you personally don't like makeup, but you have a lot of people in your network, in your life that do happen to love makeup, you can make up to anywhere from 200 to 300% profit by learning how to custom blend. It doesn't matter what your profession actually is. So you could be an IT or engineering professional that has never touched makeup before and get trained on how to do this. But anyway, So that was just for the other people who are watching. Now back to your, back to our regular scheduled programming.
And men, it's so good for men. There's so
so good for men.
The camera needs something, and once again, if they're on something low budget, they want to look great, we can make custom blends that look like they're not wearing anything. And that's wonderful. Men, models, actors, you name it, anybody, TV anchors, anyone in front of the camera should have something to even out their skin tone. We can custom blend for them. And it creates loyalty because they keep coming back. It's wonderful. And then it takes you like 2 minutes to mix it up the second time. You've saved their formula. It's just, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, what I love is, I have extremely sensitive skin. So I have a lot of clients who come to me because, we have something that is very botanical and mineral based where they're not going to have the normal reaction that they do to a lot of products, and they're looking for things that are more pure and not full of all the chemicals and other ingredients that they're trying to stay away from. So that's a huge market as well, just having the custom blended product that also caters to them.
Yeah.
We could talk all night about custom blends.
I know.
Oh my God.
We really could. And actually, one last thing that I just want to point out about custom blend is a lot of my personal clients, I would say it's about a 60-40 ratio at this point. About 60% of them don't typically wear a lot of makeup by the time they get to me. So in their lives, they just haven't worn makeup, and that's totally cool. Some of them just were never into it growing up. Some of them, they were just never taught, so they just figured, I'm just not doing it. And then, for whatever other reason. Or some people had really sensitive skin. They didn't like the feeling of makeup on their skin, all that. Every single time I have one of those clients in my chair and I custom blend them, I'm not quite sure how this happens, but I end up putting the makeup on their face, right? I don't know what they're thinking, what they're, if they're daydreaming somewhere else, they're not mentally here with me, but they always end up asking me, did you put the foundation on me yet?
Mm-hmm.
And it always confuses me because they see me put the foundation on them, but they still ask, is it on, did you put the makeup on me yet? And yeah, I did. They just don't feel it, which is incredible. I just had somebody over last night who did the same exact thing. And she was actually not a non-makeup wearer. She used to wear a ton of one particular brand, and she had to layer 2 different formulas of that makeup brand, which is a very popular makeup brand today. And in order to get her, the correct coverage and all of that, she had to use 2. And she always felt it. And then I put the custom blend on her, and she knew it was on because she was paying attention. But she was like, I cannot believe that I cannot feel this on my face right now. This is amazing. So, it's the way to go.
A lot of my brides, that's the big thing. I have brides that don't wear a lot of makeup or just want a very soft and romantic look. And every single time they'll look in the mirror and they're just shocked that they're wearing a full face of makeup because it doesn't feel that way. And I think that's so important because even on stage, no matter how much makeup you have to put on your face to achieve, whatever look you desire depending on the lights, no one wants to feel caked on like they're melting off. In my studio now I have no air conditioning, so it's like 1,000 degrees in here. And even though I'm a little shiny, I don't feel like I'm just melting and dripping away and so uncomfortable. My hair looks like it's melting and dripping away.
You look great.
You look beautiful. Beautiful.
I just want to remind everybody that if you have more questions, go ahead and type them in for us. And if we have time in a few minutes, we'll get to them. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. So did you have another question for Maleeva?
I think she answered it a little bit, but how do you? Well, I guess I should probably say this. how do you get new clients? I know you mentioned a little bit about social media, but if you just want to touch on that a little bit.
Sure. So I've gotten better about this. I wasn't in the beginning, but I tell every single person that sits down with me that my business is based on referral. Because it is. As freelancers, if you're working on building relationships, it makes sense that if they enjoy your makeup and they trust you, they're going to know someone at some point that's either doing food or getting married, or if it's in the film world, know someone that's an actor in this film that needs a makeup artist. I mean, it's all about building relationships. So I just started to ask and say, hey, look, I know that you love the way you look right now. Is there anybody else that you think would appreciate this service if I'm doing a one-on-one consult? And then I'll ask for the referral. And if they give me like 4 or 5 names that book either a tutorial with me or book a makeup application, I'll give them incentive. I'll give them a discount on their next purchase, or I'll give them a free custom blend or something just to incentivize the help. Social media has become huge for me in the past year. A couple of my gigs that I've gotten in the film world have just been through people referring, because Facebook, everybody puts what they need on Facebook nowadays, right? There was a director that needed a makeup artist or whatever, I would get tagged in a lot of these kinds of posts on Facebook once I started putting my portfolio out there for Facebook public to see. But I also started doing video tutorials and posting a lot of pictures of my own makeup looks, letting women know that I can teach them how to recreate them. And that's been huge for me, because I think in the day and age of Instagram, makeup has become, and not taking anything away from these professionals that create these amazing artistic looks on Instagram, but all these women look so flawless, and they're young and they're beautiful with these perfect lashes, and it's very intimidating to the average woman. Yeah. And I found that a lot of older clientele started to think that that's what makeup was, and so they just stopped doing it or stopped investigating or being adventurous in what they were trying and what they were doing on themselves, because a lot of women just think, well, if that's what makeup is, I could never do that on myself, so I'm just not going to try. And on Facebook, I started doing videos and tutorials and doing pictures showing women, like, this is a whole different animal when it comes to makeup, and I can teach you all of this stuff when it comes to color correcting and contouring, but some women just want a 5-minute face. And so I kind of started specializing in doing these 5-minute faces. Mm-hmm. And on social media, I made a challenge for myself to do 30 faces in 30 days. And I tell every single new girl that works with me to do the exact same thing, because it ensures that, one, if you don't have a portfolio, you're getting some practice. You're also getting some portfolio images, but practice if you're brand new and just getting the experience of sitting down, doing somebody else's makeup, doing a thorough one-on-one consult, developing a relationship, finding what they're looking for, and providing that service. So I mean, it kind of teaches you all of those things by doing in a 30-day period. But also, if you are working with a makeup line that you can retail, then it's ensuring that you get some customers. Because if you're working with a quality line and they love the way it looks, then you can say, hey, well, what would you like to start with today so you can recreate this look at home? And now all of a sudden, not only do you have a client, but you have a customer as well, which is wonderful. So that's kind of how I use social media. And there are a lot of great tutorials. There are great people to follow on Facebook to teach you how the different algorithms work and how to make social media work for you. But it's something about consistency. And that's the big thing I can offer on social media, is just be consistent. And I was bad about this for a very long time. But if followers are starting to watch you and you're starting to get some traction, they're looking forward to your posts, on a weekly or twice a week basis. So just make sure that you know what you'll be doing ahead of time, and schedule those times either early in the morning or at night to do the video tutorials or go live on Facebook. I love that now, because you don't have to worry about recording something and then waiting an hour for it to upload and how's the lighting. Like, you can just go live, which makes it a little more off the cuff. So if I'm doing my makeup and I'll do an eye look and I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually really like this. Let me go live and show people how to do the other eye. Right. And love that, because it makes you so much more tangible to the everyday woman, no matter how far away. I mean, and this is global. Social media is everywhere, right? So you can helping women across the globe that you might not even ever have the chance to sit down with. But now all of a sudden they're watching you for your tutorials and possibly becoming customers of yours, you know, depending if you're working with a line, just because you're helping meet a need that they would have never been able to get otherwise. And a lot of women are intimidated by the counter. So I kind of went off on a tangent there. But social media really is wonderful. It's not everything. I mean, art is still about getting one-on-one with someone and doing faces, especially as a freelancer. But that's a great way to get the word out there about what it is that you do and to be able to help women on a global scale through social media, asking girls, and then doing videos, definitely.
That's a great answer. I love that. I absolutely love that. And it has changed a lot, especially with the live video. It is so amazing. I've been utilizing that too, and I'm getting great response from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. And I'm sure you ladies are in the same boat that I'm in, where I've had friends, family, and clients for years who have been bugging me to start doing video tutorials for them. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I actually used to, I come from a film background, or not a film, but a television background as well in the producing world, and I used to edit video, but I have no interest in sitting down, editing a video, you know, converting it to whatever file format, waiting for it to upload, doing all of these things. Like, I'm not about that life anymore. I'm not waiting for something to render, like, get out of my life. So this Facebook Live thing has changed my world over the last few weeks. All of my clients are loving it. And, you know, I think we all probably have a VIP group on Facebook at this point, where we have like a nice collection of our VIP people, like clients. And that's where we do a lot of our live feed tutorials. So I just think it's a great way to do business, no matter what you're doing. And, you know, especially if you're retailing a line, because then obviously you use those products when you're doing your live feed, when you're doing your live tutorial feed, and then list them in the section there where you're typing, you know, the comment section or whatever, and people will end up asking you for maybe uniquely specified products for them to use to recreate that look, and then you can help them get that. You can service your client that way. So, yeah, I think that's really special. And a good point, too. Social media is a great way to gain clients. Yeah, for sure.
Empowerment. I mean, I think that, you know, makeup is just more than looking pretty. And if you can sit down, you know, even through these live videos, if you make yourself approachable to the everyday I mean, that's who your business should be for. I mean, even me as a film gal for makeup, I never really thought about myself sitting down one-on-one with women, and now I can't imagine my business any other way. Because there's, taking this to a whole nother topic, but there's just a lot of like hate and anger and horror out there in the world, and so many women are just, you know, against each other, and it's horrible the way we treat other people and we treat ourselves. So as a makeup artist, if I can show a woman that, like, you are worth it, let me take some time for you to tell you it's okay to prioritize you, and let's find a routine and find makeup that you love, that makes you feel confident, that, you know, makes you feel like you can step out into the world loving yourself, that's huge. And I do this when I do professional overviews with motives, but it is really a lot more makeup, being a makeup artist, being a freelancer, than just making a face pretty. It's about the female empowerment aspect of it, and I love that. It's good for the soul, and it brings me joy, and I think more of that in this world for sure.
I agree, and I feel like having that type of an attitude in everyday life and everyday business conduct leads you to make more and more friends too that you never even thought you would have. So I mean, you know, I'm speaking from experience, and I'm sure, I mean, you're both kind of nodding yes, I'm sure that's, you know, true for you as well. It's just so great to be able to touch somebody's life, even in a silly way as, you know, making them feel good through makeup and skincare. You know, that sounds so like small, but to a woman that might be going through something during that time, or maybe they've gone through stuff their entire life that has to do with their complexion, or self-esteem issues, or whatever it is, or just nervous because they have a job interview and they don't know what to actually put on their face to look the most professional. Just being able to touch that woman, to help them in that way is so rewarding. And yeah, I love that you said that, Maleeva. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a rewarding industry for sure. And, you know, about the live videos too, people want to see raw, real things now. I think they're past the whole scripted Photoshop. You know, people are like, show us real women. We want to know what we're supposed to do. And so right. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love connecting with you guys too. It's not just the clients, it's the other artists in the field, and
and we're
being able to connect with everybody and have those friendships being created is very powerful as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
great. So it is it's 10:03 right now, Eastern Standard Time. So we are going to wrap up. I'm so sorry to any questions that were not answered tonight, but if you are watching us on the replay, I'm sure there's a comment section below. You're welcome to ask questions there. I would say also take note of our contact information that's on the screen right now, and you can contact any of us at any time with any questions. And I would also recommend that if you're a professional in the beauty industry and somebody referred you to watch this video, talk to them about any questions that you may have as well. If you want to get started, you know, incorporating motives into your business, talk to whoever shared this with you. Okay, Maleeva, thank you so much. You were awesome.
Yes.
Great job tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Leigh. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, I just really appreciate you being a guest on our call, and can't wait to see you guys in person soon.
Yes.
And
yes,
next week.
Yes,
and,
we'll see you next week.
Follow us because we're going to be doing some more interviews. We're going to be doing some live broadcasts, maybe even next week when we're all together. So yeah, follow us on all of our social media outlets, and we're going to keep bringing you some really good content.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
Maleeva. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.